Well, we've been preaching Keep It Barbershop for many, many years, and of course the question is just exactly what is it? And I guess the wonderful thing is you can't pin it down. You can't box it in. You can't, barbershop's changed. You can remember how it used to be. A lot of us remember how it used to be. Barbershops come a long way. We sing it so much better than we ever did before. It hasn't really changed all that much. We still sing a lot of the same chords, don't we? Still get the same kick out of singing with each other. My first exposure to barbershop was in 1947, and I was a commercial musician. You know what that is? That's a polite term for starving to death. That was in the back of the days of live radio. Some of you remember live radio. My quartet was sometimes accused of being the reason live radio died. But I remember a guy called me up. He says, there's a bunch of guys. They call themselves barber shoppers. They meet on Wednesday night at the old Preston Union League Club in San Francisco. He said, come on down if you want to have some fun. I came on down. Terrible. Absolutely the most cacophony I've ever cacophoned. Everybody standing around. No discipline. No whistle blowing. No program. No nothing. No music. No director. We didn't sing good, but we didn't know that. They thought they had this thing to itself, then all the musicians came in. So they wanted to have some fun, too. But I think sometimes we need to go back to how barbershop started. And contrary to popular opinion, Lou Perry was not there. We're not sure how barbershop started, but we're kind of sure, as a matter of fact, and it had a lot to do with the kind of songs that were written in those days. And so we're going to go back to the beginning, okay? And what we're going to do is I'm going to tune up a chord, and you're just going to hum some chords, okay? And I'll sing a song. Be the only chance I get. And whatever I sing, you're going to kind of woodshed that. Now, nothing fancy, okay? Don't want to see guys doing this. I don't want to see any of the faculty flashing chord signs, I never know when I've been insulted, All we're going to do is sing some very tasty, simple chords. Now, right away I can tell. See, they're afraid they're going to get left out. Checking the pitch. Just for that. What you gotta do, though, is you gotta close your eyes, and that's so we don't embarrass each other. These guys are gonna close their eyes too. They're nice guys. And you all just hum very simple chords. No tiddlies yet. That comes later. Okay? Take a breath, hum your note, close your eyes. Here we go. Carry me back to where the cattle and the corn That has to be how barbershop started. Now, I know you've probably sung the song, or maybe you even know an arrangement of it. But it's the kind of simple melodies that the pop tune writers back in those days were writing. And they were writing songs that a lot of us could sing. Now, that's not true anymore. You know, they're writing a lot of beautiful music today, but they write them for professional singers. They don't really write them for guys to sing. How many times have you walked down the street and heard someone whistling Aquarius? Have you ever been in the supermarket and heard the housewives humming Bridge Over Troubled Waters? They don't write songs for people to sing anymore. Now that's a song, but they wrote for people. And he's giving you an idea of the chords. You know, I thought I was being pretty smart when I raised the key, but I can't play in that key. That's a key of A. Well, I don't have to prove it. It's a song. It's a song that you woodshedded, and that's really what the test is, isn't it? If you can hear the kind of simple songs that most guys could get up and sing, and not only that, suggested chords to the ear. You see? That's our heritage. Most of the barbershop we learn comes off a printed page. I know that. But still, the best arrangements, and you know where they come from. Here's some of the best arrangers in the society up here, and they're still writing arrangements that are what we call ear-oriented. Let's face it, we're not all professional sight readers. And out of those songs and those guys who could stand up and sing them, the guy with a little more confidence maybe than the rest of us, a little prettier pipe maybe, became known as the lead singer. Leads, where are you? Proudly. Look around, man, the best singers in the society. By their own admission. The guy with the confidence and the nice pipe stood up and sang the song. The rest of us gathered around and tried to put harmony to that song. And that's the way it's been ever since. The lead singer sings the song in barbershop. That's a very unique stylistic feature of our barbershop art form. The lead sings the melody. See, not the tenor, not the baritone, not the bass. The lead sings the melody. Now, that right away distinguishes our style of singing from so many other styles of singing. Oh, sure, once in a while we let the bass have a tiddly, you know, boom, 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 you know. Doesn't take many of those and he renews his membership, you know. You know, just a couple of little crumbs and the basses stay with you. Tenors, you know, give them a tag at the end, or they can cut loose, you know. Baritones, well, I've decided baritones are the smartest guys in the whole world. Because they discovered, before anybody else did, that if they didn't move off of their note, they had it knocked. Baritones have been conning us for years about how difficult their part is. You know that? Sure. Did you ever stop to analyze how many different chords the baritone note is a part of? When we tune up the lead, the baritone, the bass, and the baritone in the middle, huh? Listen to how many different chords he's a part of. He ain't moved yet, see? Baritones, of course, really are the necessary ingredient. After the melody is established, the tenor finds his little duet on top, and the bass provides those good solid, then the baritone comes in and puts the icing on the cake. But it's the lead singer that's the important guy in barbershop. He sings the tune. And, you know, that's fine. We all know that, don't we? But you get to thinking about it, what kind of a lead singer is this guy? How high can he sing? How low can he sing? What kind of quality has he got? Can he remember words? Got a lot of you out of that one, do they? Sure, a lot of guys can sing the melody, but they can't remember the cotton-picking words. What kind of a guy is this guy? Well, I've been taking a tune throughout the society for about, I don't know, I guess we started back in the Bob Johnson era, about 1961, doing hep schools together, and I carried this tune around for years. Can't find anybody to sing it too much. It's a tune called Deep Purple. You ever hear of it? Heck of a song. Got some good barbershop chords in it. You all know the tune. Everybody sing Loo 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 on the melody. There's going to be a lot of great music around that isn't ever going to barbershop for a number of reasons, and that's one of them. See, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could barbershop every favorite song of ours that comes down the pipe? I remember the old-timers, the real old-timers. You think I'm old? You should see none of them old-timers. I remember some of the old-timers, and they tried to woodshed some of those modern, contemporary songs, and it sounded terrible. Why? Because the songs didn't generate the kind of chords that we can hear good and sing well. And so, the range of the melody is one thing, the chords is another, obviously. We just sang the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, I wouldn't want to sound unpatriotic, but obviously that's not a barbershop song. Val Hicks did a tremendous arrangement on it, so at least it sounds full four-part chords, you know. You say, well, why do we sing the Star-Spangled Banner if it isn't barbershop? Well, you know, the mayor of the town calls up and says, we'd like to have you sing on the 4th of July, and we'd like to have you do the Star-Spangled Banner, and you say, I'm sorry, that's not a barbershop song. So, you know, you have to kind of temper mercy with justice or whatever that is. And so we're going to sing a couple of these tiddlies now and again because we have to. But by and large, we have a choice in the matter, don't we? We don't have to sing songs that aren't good barbershop songs, and I can't understand why you do. I'm to the age now where I don't care. How can you tell if it's barbershop art? Well, that's the first thing. Can that lead singer sing that melody all the way through with good quality? Let me say that again. Turn on your tape machine. Everybody raise your left hand. Left hand. Boy, we're in trouble. All right. Turn on your tape machine. Okay. Principle number 1. You want to know the test for a barbershop song? Can the average quartet lead singer sing that melody with good quality? If he can't, it ain't a barbershop song. By definition, it ain't a barbershop song. If that average quartet lead singer can't sing that melody all the way through. Got it? How about the lyric? What's a good barbershop lyric? I asked Lou Perry. You know Lou Perry. Don't ever lay a sentimental lyric on him. He'll cry on your tie. If he hadn't got a tie on, he'll give you one. Then he'll cry on your tie. I asked Lou Perry, what makes a good barbershop lyric? He said it ought to sound like it was written back in those days. The kind of language that everybody in the audience understands what those words mean. Nothing too sophisticated, nothing too hippie, far out. Let's fly, man, you know. None of that, huh? It's got a little corny maybe, huh? Little nostalgia, little Mom and June and Spoon and you know. I get all choked up just talking about it. Not the greatest literature in the world. Some barbershop lyrics really tear you apart. Others, you know, it's Tin Pan Alley commercial tunes we sing. But it's that kind of a lyric. It's down home. You only want me when you're lonesome. You know that one? Did you ever study typing? Piano the other day, I was trying to work something out, and there was a note out. Didn't play. I was afraid to look down. I thought I'd lost a finger. You know the song? Come on, sing with me. That's barbershop. How can anybody want to sing anything else? The lyric of a song, so important to us. Now, obviously, language changes over the years, sure. Wouldn't it be wonderful to come back in a couple of 100 years and listen to what the guys are singing? Wouldn't it be terrible to come back and visit a chapter of the future and not recognize anything that's going on? It would mean we would have lost this thing finally, once and for all. And some of you are trying. You know, and that's not nice. It's not friendly. We all have a little responsibility to the future, whether we think so or not. This is a barbershop society. And when we come back in a couple of 100 years, if we've been smart, we've saved some of this for future generations. I never met a man yet in barbershop that didn't wish he'd found barbershop sooner than he did find it. Now that's got to say something. That's got to say something for our kind of music. And the fact that we each have a little responsibility to the future of barbershop singing. Where were we? We were talking about some of the cardinal principles involved with the preservation of the style. Turn on that tape machine. What was the first one? Can the average quartet lead singer sing that song with good quality? What's the second one? Is it a down-to-earth barbershop lyric? What's the third one? Has to do with chords. We're chord singers, always have been. I hope we never lose that. Now, obviously, we hope to put chords together in such a way that the music flows. And yes, Fred Waring was right. The song is the thing. We want to make music. And sometimes we get carried away and hold a chord too long. Isn't it fun? We probably shouldn't do it on the contest stage. Do you realize that for years in our society, quartets woodshedded their songs and took them into contests? How long has it been since you heard a quartet get on a contest stage and woodshed one? My quartet was accused of it, but now we worked very hard. We just sounded that way. chord singers. And I bet if you can think back to the first time you got hooked on barbershop, it's because you sang and rang a chord right. I'm not allowed to say ring anymore. We used to say, boy, that chord rings. You don't say that anymore. You're supposed to say that that chord, that arrangement of tones, provided the optimum opportunity for a consonant sound. But it sure sounds like ring to me. Musicians who come into our society are always amazed at the sounds we make with so few chords. To be perfectly frank about it, about 95% of our sound is hung on about 6 chords. And I think we ought to hear what those chords sound like. And you don't have to know what they are, because I don't know what they are. But if I ever find out, you're going to have to know what they are. Lisa, I suppose we ought to quit right there. Okay, now I want you to do 2 things. I want you to hum, you know, and try to stick an ear up here. Boy, that's tough when you're in a big group. It's tough to hear the whole chord. I remember one night we were out in a chapter somewhere, and a guy went out to make coffee or something. He came back, we were singing, he just stood awestruck, and he came up afterwards and he said, it's the first time I ever heard the barbershop sound. And I said, you're a new guy? He said, no. I said, where have you been? And he said, in the middle of a 60-man bass section. Try to put an ear up here, hum your parts up, and don't quit singing. When you run out of gas, gas up and come on back into the chord. That's a major chord. We sing a lot of those in barbershop. Tenors dropping off and on. Minor chord. Hear that? Whole sound change. Kind of loses something, doesn't it? Go back up, tenor. Ain't that better? That's more pleasant sound. We really like that sound a lot better. But we sing minor chords too. Leads dropping a full step. That's the biggie, man. That's called the barbershop 7th chord. That's 3. Now, tenors, put that minor back in. Okay, that's the minor 7th chord. That's 4. Baritones, drop yours half an arch low. That's the minor 7 flat 5. Well, if you don't know that's wrong, then shut up. Please drop another half step low. Diminished chord. Isn't that neat? Let's see if we can build that back up just for the heck of it, huh? Leads up a half. Baritones up a half. Tenors up a half. You bet. Congratulations, basses, huh? Listen, that ain't easy to sit down there and let everybody have the fun. Major chord. Sing a lot of those, you bet. Minor chords, yes. We sing them when they're called for. Although we really don't like minor chords much. They're not natural chords to the ear. Joe Lowes, our new director of music, led us in the old songs, our theme song. The old songs, the good old songs for me. I love to hear those minor chords, and there isn't a minor chord in that whole song. We really don't like minor chords. We sing them when we have to. See, the pop tune writers from the era that we call the golden age of barbershop, roughly the late 1800s up to about 1930, you know, the tune writers in that era wrote in the major mode. They didn't write minor songs. You tune into today's music, an awful lot of minorish quality. That's another reason they don't fit into barbershop so good. That major sound. We sing that minor chord, but the biggie, of course, is that barbershop 7. That's a barbershop 7. That's a barbershop 7. So is that. As a matter of fact, all of those are barbershop 7s. The reason I know that, it's the only thing I can play without looking. The barbershop 7, that's the biggie, that's the 4-star chord. The old timers called that the meat and taters chord. That's the underlying chord of the barbershop sound. That's another reason why so many of those beautiful contemporary songs don't fit so good. Because they don't call for that barbershop 7th chord. See, by consensus, ask any of these gentlemen up here and they'll tell you, yes, a good barbershop song ought to suggest at least 35% barbershop 7th chord. Okay? See, we take what we call a chord count. Count every chord in the song. Say it comes out to be 100, because I ain't too good with math, but I can figure this one. See what I'm driving at? Let me say it, though. Suppose you got 100 chords. This used to impress my kids, but suppose you got 100 chords, go back and count, and you better have 35 barbershop 7s in there, okay? That's better than 1 out of 3. Some of our arrangements go as high as 55, 60%. You know where the southern roses grow? I think that runs about 62.5% barbershop 7s. We sing that minor 7th chord, but again, if the barbershop 7th minimum is 35%, then the minor 7th is low. Shouldn't be, well, we've raised that a little. I remember when it was about 4 or 5%. Now it's up around 6, 7%. So the sound's being colored a little. The minor 7th's a lot like pepper. A little of it, just right. Too much ruins the whole stew. I don't care how many barbershop 7ths you got in there. So watch it. A lot of the modern songs have a lot of that kind of a sound. See, pretty sound, isn't it? Those are all minor 7s. Does that sound barbershop to you? I hope not. Say no, it'll save a lot of time. Okay. And then where the baritones drop their shoulder a little bit, that half-diminished chord, we call it, nice sound. A lot of times it's the last one before the... And then finally that diminished chord, dumb chord. Can't tune it, can't balance it. It's a tough chord to sing, but we find it in the middle of swipes so often. Barbershop 7, diminished 7. There it is. Got to come back. Some of our quartets give you fits, don't they? They do a long, drawn-out swipe. You start rooting for them. Come on. One of these days you're going to run out of gas and you aren't going to make it. That barbershop seventh is the biggie. Minor seventh, yes. Half diminished, yes. Diminished, yes. I never could figure out that diminished chord. Like I told you, I wasn't going to tell you, but I told you. I went to music school. I got a master's in music. I have to admit, though, after the war, you could get anything on the GI Bill. But anyway, we had to study all them great composers, you know. And there was a guy I never understood. His name was Richard Wagner. Wrote all them German operas, you know, big stuff. Had a thing for blondes, actually. Who doesn't? You know, I always picked the biggest blondes and helmet and anyway, and one of the guys asked me, he said, is that the guy who wrote all them Wagnerian operas? Yes, he was. But I finally decided I was going to figure out what that guy used, and he used more diminished chords than any other composer before or since. What gave his music that ethereal, that fog-shrouded, evil sound. You know, and then every once in a while, barbershop supper. It's important that the songs we sing suggest those 6 chords, which constitute about 95% of our music. And it's one of the most fascinating coincidences in the history of American songwriting that the kinds of chords that ear singers love to sing are the kinds of chords that those guys wrote from about the turn of the century up to about 1930. That's where you find the chords that barbershoppers love to sing, in that kind of pop music. That's our kind of music. There's one other thing about chords that I did want to mention, because just the chords themselves is not enough, okay? You gotta have how the chords work, and boy, that's tough. That's very hard to explain, so I won't. You don't have to explain that to barbershoppers. They hear how chords work. The trick is to recognize the kinds of songs that work that way. Because so many wonderful modern songs don't work that way, and that's another reason why they don't work so good in barbershop, and it's because of how chords work. And I want to take you back, if I may, very quickly to an experience that I had in 1947 when I visited my first chapter in San Francisco. It was a social club in those days, and that's what this was, and I stood around, and thank goodness there was a gentleman came up to me and he said, "Son," I was younger then, and I was a hotshot boy, you know, I knew it all. I was on radio, and I was doing singing jingles, and, you know, there wasn't anything I didn't know. It's funny how you are that way when you're young. This guy said, "Would you like to try it?" I said, "Has it got notes?" He says, "Yeah, it's got notes." I said, "Well, then I can handle it." The things you say that come back and haunt you. He says, "Do you know any barbershop songs?" I said, "I don't know." He says, "Do you know a song called After Dark?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Do you know a song called Coliana Baby?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Do you know a song called If I Had My Way?" I said, "No, sir." And I began to look worried. So did he. He said, "Do you know a song called 5'2", Eyes of Blue?" I said, "Well, the name kind of rings a bell." He says, "Son, you're going to have trouble in this organization." And he's right. Fortunately, he got 3 other guys together, And he showed me what barbershop chords do, see? And he says, first of all, you tune up on home bass, see? Well, I've been to music school, and I was almost going to explain to him, we call that the tonic, sir. Or the key tone. I figured the least he could do was call it do. He says, we call it home bass. And I said, why do you call it home bass? Because he said, in music, you leave home base, and then you try to get back home. Real quick now, I'm going to show you. We're going to tune up a chord, and I'm going to sing a song, and you put some chords on it. That's all you do. Okay, close your eyes. Hum. After dark, when everything is still. Now, where does that chord want to go? Right back home. Simple? Sure. But what he said was, anytime you can get to that chord, and that's what he called the after dark chord. He says, if you can get to that chord, you can always get home. Do that again. After dark, when everything is still, and it takes you home. And since I was the first chord away from home base, he held up one finger. Now, that's a system we haven't taught in a long time. It's called the clock system, and don't pay any attention to it. It'll get you thoroughly confused. But the old-timers held up one finger, and that's what they wanted to hear. That was the after dark chord, and that always took you home. Guess what was two chords away from home base? Goodbye, my Coney Island baby. Where does that chord want to go? Farewell, my own. That's the after dark chord, isn't it? And it'll take you home. And so, anytime they wanted that chord, they held up two fingers and called it the Coney Island baby chord. And that chord took you to the after dark chord, and that chord took you home. Guess what was three chords away from home base? If I had my way. Where does that chord want to go? Dear friend, Coney Island chord. That's the Coney Island chord. After dark chord, and you're home. If I had my way chord, they held up three fingers. That took you to Coney Island, after dark, and home. Guess what was four chords away? And in music, that's a long ways away. You know, it isn't just like going outside and saying, there's home, because I can see where it is. In music, home's in here. And some of us haven't been home for years. Four chords away. 5 for 2, eyes are blue. Where does that chord want to go? Oh, what those 5 foot. That's the if I had my way chord, isn't it? Has anybody? That's a Coney Island chord. See, after that, and you're home. Now, I'll tell you a little secret. If the song that your quartet is wondering whether it ought to learn to sing or not doesn't do that, you got a problem. Because that's the way good barbershop songs work. And songs that don't work like that aren't going to be nearly as good. And that's, of course, you just learn what we technically call, what do we technically call that? Circle of fifths. And I hate to say that because basses wake up and say, did someone call? And of course, that system goes way back centuries to the old masters. I remember the first piece I ever heard, written by a guy named Franz Liszt. And Liebestraum, of course, well, everybody thinks it means love's dream. Actually, if you look it up, if you find an old Teutonic dictionary, is it Teutonic? Is that German? If you find an old dictionary, you'll find that Liebesträume mit der Umlaute des Träumen der. Liebesträume means 5'2". German fellow the other day, and he said, "Nein, das ist nicht 5'2". Das ist darkness on the Delta. Well, there's darkness on the Delta. When it's darkness on the... Actually, it reminds me more of Who's Sorry Now. Who's sorry now? Who's sorry now? Actually, we know better. It's really down our way. And about 500 other songs. All built on this principle of how good barbershop chords work. And that rings a bell with us because we're ear singers. And we like the way that those chords work their way back home. Now, there's nothing technical about that at all, obviously, or I wouldn't be able to do it. Can the average quartet lead singer sing that melody with good quality? Is it a down-to-earth barbershop lyric? Does it suggest those big 6 chords? And finally, do those chords work in this traditional fashion, takes you back home? That's what barbershop does for you. How about Shine On Me? Do you still do that? Give me the after that chord. See how quick you learn? Shine on me. Shine on me, will the light in the house shine on me, shine, that lighthouse shine on me.